It was another wild night on pay-per-view for All Elite Wrestling, as the Revolution was televised, and it was insane. Let's break down what we saw from AEW's most recent pay-per-view outing. So, All Elite Wrestling with another insane pay-per-view, AEW Revolution. And just the first note, as always with AEW, is this was a wild night. And it's been brought up in other places before, but it really does seem like from night to night, match to match, card to card, show to show, pay-per-view to pay-per-view, AEW is trying to one-up themselves right now. And it has led to some of the best wrestling that we have seen. Like every single week, AEW delivers a match that would have been match of the year in most of the other years in wrestling history, save for the last few. And this was another night that gets you there. The main event, I think, was very good, but I don't think it necessarily gets to all-time great status. Again, a really, really, really good match. I want to stress that here, that this was unbelievable with Hangman Page and MJF. I think the story going in, how they kind of built to this and set up the drama of the stipulation and of this situation, I think that was really good. The one part of it, it did seem to drag a little bit. Like it seemed like we were just going from spot to spot to spot, and you kind of lost a little bit of the story with it. It kind of took away the desperation of the moment for Hangman Page and for MJF. They were able to kind of get it back. I thought the finish was really good with Hangman passing out, and like the dog collar maybe a little bit forced, but it also ties back to another story involving MJF. And so I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a very, very good one. And I have said, like, I'm good on all the ultra violence of AEW. I don't need to have a death match every other week. And I do think it is a little over the top with them sometimes. I don't know if we needed to follow this week up with a coffin match on Wednesday, but I am also, a human with eyeballs, and I enjoyed the hell out of that match. Just a couple of nitpicky things kind of take it away from being like this 5-star all-time classic-y type of a match, but still really, really, really good. And now what it sets up going forward is so interesting. MJF, do we get a bit of an evolution of this character? He is always going to be this sharp-tongued guy, but he has obviously developed into an incredible professional wrestler as well. And that was a knock on him at the beginning of AEW. He has rounded that out. He has got himself into amazing shape, and he is a champion in every sense of the word. But you have a match like this, I think we need to stop with him being a bit of the chicken shit heel at times, which is tough because he does it really well, but it's always weird when he is trying to dupe his way out of a Texas death match, but he beat Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute match, and he has all of these big wins, but now he's afraid of this stipulation. I think we kind of need to get away from that. So I'm interested to see what this means for the MJF character. And obviously, what does this mean now for Hangman Page, now that he cannot challenge for the AEW Championship at any point in his life? I wonder if you get kind of an Edge, John Cena, Randy Orton thing where Hangman's going to, again, like burn down someone's house to try to get a title opportunity, or maybe he's able to earn it back in the Owen or something along those lines. I do think at some point Hangman's going to be back in the title picture, and like AEW was burned with this story before with Cody, and by the end of it was just like, look, we get it, we appreciate it, but figure it out. And I wonder if Tony has a creative way to kind of figure it out now, instead of just, well, I want it, and so I'm taking it, or whatever. So that the story coming out of this is really, really interesting. The night began on pay-per-view anyway, with the end of the Battle Royal, which is a great... It's turning into a bit of a cliche, but we haven't had AEW pay-per-views for a little bit, so you kind of forget it. It was a cool way to start the night. But the first official match was FTR against the Young Bucks, and it was fantastic. Again, slight nitpick. I don't know if we needed blood for this one, knowing what was coming later on in the night, but given the intensity of the feud with the family and everything like that, you can understand it just in the bigger picture of everything. When you know Moxley is going to, and you know what is coming in the main event, I don't know if we needed blood right off the start, but again, just a slight nitpick. I think this match was excellent. Like, these two teams, obviously, an incredible chemistry. It's not a match I think you can go back to soon in a team versus team aspect, but just incredible what they were able to do, and the crowd was with them 100% of the way. After the fact, Cage and Cope come out. Really weird shirt that they have. Don't totally understand it, but it sets up a lot of fun matches. If you want to do a three-way tag dance with FTR, Cage and Cope, and the Young Bucks for Dynasty? The one that's happening in Vancouver. If you want to do that there, I think that makes a lot of sense. You do have a Canadian tour coming up with Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver, so having the good Canadian kids up on the top of the thing, I think makes all the sense in the world. So if that's how they want to do it, fine. If you just want to do 1v1, or I guess 2v2 in this case, with Cope and Cage and FTR for the titles, I think that works too. It's set, and honestly, at some point, we're going to get Young Bucks against Edge, I keep doing that, Cope and Christian, and that's going to be a dream match for a lot of people too. So it sets up a lot of very interesting scenarios going through this here, and I'm really excited with where they are at the top of the tag team division right now. Moxley against Takeshita was excellent again. Like, these two are so good. I didn't get a chance to do a preview, but the one thing, wouldn't have worked, would have pissed people off, all of those things. I think with the stipulation of no time limit, it would have been hilarious if Mox comes out and just quick DDT boom wins in like 45 seconds. I think that would have been so funny if they could have done that. But yeah, like, these two are two of the best wrestlers in the world. And it's an interesting story dynamic because we never fully got the babyface turn for the Death Riders or anyone like that. They just started feuding with a heel faction. And so we just started cheering for them. But then Ospreay, music hits. First of all, crowd goes insane for him coming back. And then it's him against Moxley, and immediately Mox turns back into the bad guy. So that story is going to be so great to follow along with. The matches we're going to get are going to be incredible. I do wonder where Takeshita goes now. Is there, like, Okada and Fletcher and Davis lost the trios titles a little bit later on in the night. We'll talk about that here in a second. But so I wonder now if we do get the Takeshita-Okada clash, or if they are just saving that for All In here in the summer. That's still a ways to go to build that up. Now, we have seen that AEW, if they want to do a big match on pay-per-view, they will still do it at a regular, like, Dynamite even sometimes. Like, you don't just get the first meeting between the two at All In. So you could have that build up and have that be kind of the culmination after a series of matches, but we'll see what they end up doing with Takeshita. But he did kind of feel like a bit of an afterthought in this, and it is starting to feel a little bit like Kota Ibushi back a few years ago, where he was probably the best wrestler in the world, or at least one of them, and he wasn't officially signed with anyone. So New Japan was a little bit hesitant to put the rocket on him, and he would come and do I think he did some Ring of Honor stuff, but it felt like every promotion he was in, he would have an unbelievable match and be like, oh man, this guy is a real, like, championship threat, but no one fully committed to him. And with Takeshita, like, he IWGP champion there for that run going into Wrestle Kingdom. It feels like if he was just solidly with one promotion, this dude's the world champion of that promotion. And I'm hoping that we get that. But it's starting now to feel, now that the title run is a few months behind us in New Japan, it's starting to feel like, yeah, you can be the TV champ. Yeah, you can be into this. You can do into that, but we'll beat you. So I'm interested to see where he kind of goes from here. The person who I was maybe the most impressed with on this night was the Toxic Spider, Tekla. I was a big fan of hers in Stardom. Like, there was a swagger to her when she would come down. This character is a little bit different than the one that I started watching with her in Stardom anyway, but she has it so figured out. She is oozing charisma, and it's that it factor that we talked about with Trick Williams out of Elimination Chamber. Tekla has it. Like, she would walk into a room and you would be like, that's someone. If I don't watch wrestling, I don't know who that is, but I know it's someone important, just the way that she carries herself. And then the in-ring is great too. Like, it is such a full, well-rounded performer right now with Tekla. And Statlander still is trying to get there. The character is a little off. Like, I get at one point she was an alien, so we've come a long way, but she's trying to figure out what she is right now. In ring, she's phenomenal, but in terms of what her character actually is, it's not really clicking. So there's still some work to be done there. The one part of this I didn't really like was the 2 out of 3 falls aspect of it, because I don't think you needed to be beating Tekla right now. So to have her, to just have people see her take that pinfall, it doesn't end up hurting her that much, but it was just something that was like, I don't know if we needed to do that, but a very, very good match nonetheless. Big news of the night was probably Mystico signing after the Trio's win over the Don Callis family. And to their credit, they treated this like a major deal. I, along with a number of other people, had some streaming issues at the time of the intros for this and everything like that. But by the time it got it all figured out, you see the finish, they're wearing his mask, and his music plays, and you get the Mystico is all elite graphic that pops up, and oh man, like this is one of the best, again, say it a lot with AEW, but this is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and more specifically, this is one of the biggest draws in the world right now. He went like an incredible run of selling out in Mexico with CMLL, and that has continued this year. And so I am so fascinated to see what all of this means, because like he is, like some others, he's on a dual contract where he can kind of bounce between the two, but he was with that anyway. I am hoping for CMLL's sake that this isn't a Okada situation where no, he's ours. He can bounce over there a couple of times, but he's our guy now. Because that would be a major hit to CMLL with WWE going in with AAA and everything like that. I am very interested to see how this all plays out with him, with CMLL, and what it means for kind of the future there. And it's something I've said a bunch. There's a way to do all of this where it benefits everyone. Where, like, WWE is slightly getting there with AAA, whatever, and Dom going over, the War Raiders going over there, Omos and all of that. The problem is, there isn't the going back this way here, to the point where, like, the storylines aren't matching up with the El Grande Americanos, or even Dom being a babyface on one and a heel on the other. So they haven't really quite got that in sync yet, but there's a way to do it with New Japan, CMLL, and AEW, where I think it can benefit all of the parties, and you have a bit of the continuity with all of it. So I am interested at what this means. For AEW, that it was a good night on Sunday, but it's no secret, ticket sales have not been where they have wanted it to. You tune into Dynamite, and there's a lot of real close shots of the ring and the arena, and hey, that entrance ramp seems like it's this big, and the video thing's like right there. It's obvious, right? Like this is, it's a company that had a bit of a downspell. I think creatively they've come out of it exceptionally well, but it's not clicking ticket sale wise for the regular AEW programming. When that happened with WW at the time, with the whole new generation thing, hey, look at that, they're in Canada a bunch. And oh, look at this, another European tour, because that's where they were making their money. TNA did a great job with this. I don't think they did it enough. They had a rabid fan base in the, I want to say early 2010s out in the UK. And when they went out there, it made the shows feel like a big deal, to the point where you had some people saying, like, I think they should just be a UK company now. And with a few spots here and there in North America, I wonder if AEW now goes the same route in Mexico, where you now have that country's biggest draw on your programming. Do we see a few more shows other than just a Grand Slam Mexico? Do we see a few shows at Arena Mexico, and do they kind of tour around there a little bit to try to boost this and take advantage of it? So I'm interested at that. The other thing that I'm wondering, they just launched their own streaming service in My AEW, for those of us not in, or for those of you not in Canada or the United States, or with working VPNs, but I don't think they're doing that just to have Honor Club and AEW on there. And people have been frustrated that to really follow CMLL, you have to have a subscription through YouTube, and it's not inexpensive. So I wonder if AEW and CMLL work out an English language partnership thing to have CMLL, even just the big events, streaming on My AEW. And if this is kind of an entry point into that as well. So I think it opens up a number of doors, and I'm really interested to see which one that they kind of walk through with AEW and CMLL. Also on this card, it was Marina Shafir. I think stepping up with, even in a loss against Toni Storm, like she She is figuring it out. And like she has the character down. It's the in-ring that kind of has to mesh with it. And it felt like it did with Toni Storm. And like she has this aura about her. They have protected her very well. Even in losing this match, she still felt like a big deal because Toni just was able to escape with the win. So I think Marina gets a big boost, and now Toni gets the role of a lifetime as Ronda Rousey comes down. Your mileage may vary on Ronda Rousey, but there is no denying that this is still a megastar, and she has been coming out with both barrels blasting towards UFC, a little bit toward the WWE as well. She has a show or a match, a fight. There we go, coming up on Netflix. So she's going to be in full promotion mode right now. She is going to be out there. She's going to be on a very big stage. And now attaching her with AEW, I think helps that. Obviously, we're not going to get physicality between now and May, but you do wonder if this is setting up an all-in with Toni Storm and with Ronda Rousey. That would be a major, major moment for Toni, who has already started to break through mainstream-wise with the Timeless character. This would be a massive moment for them, or for her, sorry. Swerve Strickland and Brody King, they delivered. It was a really tough spot. This was a violent show. This was just a regular match. They stretched that, but this was a regular match, and you have Texas Death coming in the main event, so we can't just go insane with all of this, right? Swerve can't bring out the staple gun. Brody can't light himself on fire and throw him into Swerve. You have to try to have a match to decide the most dangerous and violent person in AEW, while really not being able to break any of the rules. So it was a tough spot. They couldn't go as crazy with the spots, which shows you where we're at with AEW in 2026, that a full-ass vertebreaker onto the exposed floor after lifting up the mats on the outside is considered not as crazy, but that's where we're at in 2026. And with All Elite Wrestling, that's it's funny to see where we're at here. But good match. It sucks that Brody loses. I'm hoping that there is a very good follow-up for him now coming out of this, because he is right there in the main event story. And that is where AEW has to kind of walk this tightrope now, because obviously the direction post-match Kenny Omega comes out, it's Omega and Swerve. Later on, we'll talk about this in a second, but Andrade gets the win over Bandido, and you have still a pretty veteran-laden main championship scene on the men's side, even with MJF just turning 30. He's been around a little bit. You're going to start to get people clamoring for Bandido, for Brody King, and for some of the other guys to become mainstays in that title picture. AEW has to walk a tightrope of not wasting this opportunity with them, but also continuing on with the stories and the long-term plan that you have that now includes Ospreay probably in the title mix as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where they kind of follow up from this, because they got something with Brody. But man, Swerve against Omega in Canada probably is going to be spectacular. Megan Bayne and Lana Cross are your new women's tag team champions. The story from this one is that Willow had a TBS title match earlier on the 0 hour. She gets banged up in that match, and then this was basically just a squash. But Megan Bayne is really coming along, and I know that there was some trepidation when you see, with men's and women's, when you see big humans coming along, the work rate isn't going to be that good. And like Megan isn't maybe known for that. She has a presence to her, right? That there is obviously a look, and she just, it's all about the aura. But the in-ring is, I think, a lot better than people give her credit for. She's had some good matches in Stardom, and she's coming along here. And this is the type of, I think, like dominant heel tag team that can elevate these tag team titles. I think you got the absolute most out of Willow and Harley Cameron as the tag team champions with the Babes of Wrath. They're so entertaining. They're so much fun. I think Willow should win the women's championship at All In. Like, I think she should be the one to win the Owen and take it off of Tekla. I think she is that good, but you got as much as you could out of this for the tag team belts. Now I think you can elevate them with Dominant Dominion, I think they were called. Next up, Bandido against Andrade. This was fantastic. I questioned if this should have been on pay-per-view when it was 9 o'clock Mountain Time, and I knew we still had the main event to go, and it wasn't going to be a 5-minute squash. So I was a little bit like, do we need this one? But this match delivered. that this 100% delivered, and I don't think it would have had the same effect if they just put it as the main event of Dynamite on Wednesday, because having it on pay-per-view, having it on this one where it was just a crazy night, I think it elevates Bandido. I think it also really shines a light on how invested Andrade is, because like this dude is having some of the best matches of his career again, and he's got the character figured out. Like, this is turning into a real, genuine, legitimate main event performer in All Elite Wrestling, and this match I think really drove that home. So just for timing purposes, I thought it was a little bit overkill, even for AEW standards, but for what it meant to both performers, I think it made sense. I don't think you can say the same for the Dogs against Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Darby. I thought this could have been a Dynamite main event. This didn't need to be here on the pay-per-view. And I don't love the result of it. Like, the match was good. Like, don't get me wrong. There was nothing wrong with the bell-to-bell of this performance by any of them. And they're all pay-per-view caliber guys. But no one's talking about this match coming off of it. And you're going to get a coffin match with Darby against Gabe Kidd coming up on Wednesday anyway. So it's not like it blew off the feud or anything. I just feel like while AEW loves to, this is pay-per-view, you're going to get 1,000 matches and they're all going to be nuts. This fit that category. It was a great match. I think at some point it does become a little too much, and I was feeling it at this one. I also don't love the Dogs losing right now. Like, Gabe Kidd, the dog crawl out is weird. I don't like it, but to each their own. The dude seems insane, so I'm not going to tell him. You have Finlay coming in as a debut. Connors, you're trying to establish this group as this next, like, real deal heel watch out for them team. And they're losing on their first match altogether. I didn't like it. I know you're facing basically an AEW All-Star team, but I still didn't love that was the way that it went down. Overall, incredible pay-per-view. And I know that for a lot of these, like, well, I didn't like this. Well, I didn't like this. That is not I mean, it literally knocks on AEW, I suppose, but that is more a statement on the high quality that AEW delivered, and just a couple of things that are like, but then, this show was terrible. This was an incredible show. It had fast-paced action, if you wanted that. It had hard-hitting, hardcore stuff, obviously. If you're really big into needles being stuck through guys' mouths, well, boy, do I have the match for you. This had a little bit of everything, and coming out of it, this is the main difference now, because AEW has always been in their bag. They have always been able to put on incredible pro wrestling, but it's the storytelling that people kind of drew weary of and kind of fell off of a little bit, especially around the Death Riders and everything with that, right? So that had people kind of falling off a little bit. But now the storytelling is back. Like that, the MJF Hangman story, the build up going all the way back from the very first AEW show to now, and driving home the history. It puts the company over because, like, hey, we got a pretty good history now here. But also, like, it created such intrigue in that. And look at all the matches that I said coming out of this that, I'm interested to see where they go with this. I'm interested in the tag team title picture right now on the men's side. I think you have fascinating women's tag team champions. Moxley and Takeshita. I want to see where Takeshita is going, and I can't wait for the Moxley-Will Ospreay story that is coming. Tekla, you put her on television, I will watch. Like, you have that with her. You have Mystico. Where do they go with one of the top performers in Mexico? I'm very intrigued by this. An interesting story developing with Toni Storm and Ronda Rousey. Swerve and Omega, great. What do you do now with Brody King? It feels like they have set up all of these pieces for most of the, like, you can lay a lot out toward All In now and kind of see the direction that they're going. And there were some times a year or two ago where you couldn't even say that from Dynamite to Collision, but they really do seem like they have honed in on some of the good storytelling aspects now of professional wrestling, combining that with the incredible in-ring that they have. And this company is on an absolute roll right now. But AEW can be polarizing. So what did you guys think? Are you with me that AEW's Revolution is in full gear? Or, see what I did there? Double pay-per-view name drop. Or is it falling off a little bit? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Agree or disagree, let me know. And of course, hit me up on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky.